So last week I dropped a new single called Spin. You can check that out after this video if you haven't checked it out. And then this past weekend I also dropped a remix for Tshwala. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna play the vocal because copyright issues. So I'm just gonna mute the vocal and I'm not really gonna get into that. But I didn't really do much to the vocal. I just added a little bit of delay and some reverb, and I just EQ'd it a little bit. You can see here I just like raised up a little bit of the mids just so that it can be present in the track. But yeah, again, I'm really not going to play the vocal because otherwise this video will lose monetization. So the first thing I did was I added a top kick, right? So I added a top kick just in different places. You can see I have the top kick right there on the intro, and then I also have it around the break part here and then at the end, just to kind of give a break from the main kick, which is like the really big kick, but then still maintain the groove of the beat itself. And then after that I added my perfect kick too. And remember, all these drum sounds, you can find them in the link down below. I use only my own sounds and samples. I use nothing else to produce my track, so you can check them out. So then coming from the top kick, we get into the main kick. Just like that. And then the next thing was a snare. Just a nice pattern for the snare right here. And this is the snare 6 in my Amapiano sample pack in drum kit if you want to check that out. So I always use this snare. I use this one and snare number 7 for Amapiano, and also for my 3-step. For 3-step I use two of those snares, snare number 6 and snare number 7. And then after that I added an Afro percussion to give that nice Afro groove. And then I also added another layer of Afro percussion as well. So that's the sound. So now you can get a picture of the sound that's of this track. So this second Afro perc loop right here is lower than the first one, which is because I wanted this first one here to be much louder than the second one, because that's the one holding the whole percussion groove together. But this Afro perc loop that I added right here, it's just accenting the track, right? And then after that I added a hat. So this is without the hat. So the hat adds some shine and some brightness to the track. So now the beat frequency wise, it sounds nice and balanced. And then I also added a cymbal, like a crash. Simple, there's nothing much more I can break down when it comes to a crash. It's just basically signaling, that, this is the downbeat or the, an interval. And then I also added this riser here on the section here. Just like that. So it's working with the cymbal itself to crash. So it's just building up a little bit, and you can tell that it's got this white noise energy that is like coming up, and then it crashes like that. And then now we can move on to the instrument sounds. I'm just missing one more sound right here that I added right here, which is this pulsating wave sound. Just like that. You can tell the sound is pulsating. Let me show you the wave right here. I can just double click it like that. That's what it's looking like. You can see it's pulsating like that and then going up and just building up around the section here. Just like that. Now let's get to the instruments. So the first one here is this cloudy plugged synth. Just like that. So this sound is in retro synth. That's the sound here, called the cloudy plugged synth. So this sound has some chorus on it. It has some EQ. So it has all stock plugins. It has this chorus. It has an EQ taking a lot of the high frequencies out and then taking some of the low frequencies out. And then we also have a delay and a space D right there. So that's what's happening to that sound, just a little bit of processing. And then after that, I also have this Eastern hammer sound. So this is just basically playing the same thing. It's just a layer under that sound that I just showed you right now. So it's just playing the same notes. After that, I also added this. This is in Alchemy. It's not in Retro Synths. This is the sound in Alchemy. Eastern Hammers right there. And then next up, I've got a plucky sine. This is also in Alchemy. It's a simple sound, and then in the track it sounds like this. So it's building up. I actually added an automation right here. You can see it's building up until here. So you actually in the track hear it picking up, because I didn't want it to just start immediately. So it's just playing a nice melody, you know, just going bam, 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 bam. And then I added the head buzzer sound. That sounds really good. And then now we can move to the basses. So the first sound here is this cloudy synth sound. So this sound sounds like this. I just want to isolate it on its own. So you can see that the notes are starting down here and then they start to continue going up. So I wanted my bass sounds on this section here to be different instead of just holding the one note the whole time. So you can see these basses here, they're holding one note, and then when we go to this section here, the bass is changing so that it can be a little bit different, so that it's not just repeating the same thing the whole time. So that's what I did with the sound. I wanted to cover it first, and then we can go back to this deep thump bass. So this bass here, the cloudy plug synth, is in Retro Synth. That's the plugin I used here. And then this next one here is the deep thump bass that is in Alchemy, right there. Sounds really good. So this is the bass if I play it with the track. Sounds really dope. And then I layered it with a log drum that you can see right here. Oh man, this log drum sounds really dope. So here's the notes of the log drum. I just have one note that is going up like this, and then everything else is holding down here. So that's the log drum right there. And again, the log drum also changes with the beat around this section here. I love how it's like adding a lot of energy and a lot of sound pressure to this section of the track, so that the bass sound sounds really big. And then lastly, what I'm going to show you is what I did with the log drum on the break part here, because I wanted to add a kind of different vibe to the log drum here. So this is how the log drum sounds on this section here. Then it goes back. Just like that, and that's how I made this remix. So overall, these are all the sounds. And then I did also add some mastering to it. I added one of my presets. So I added a vintage tube EQ just to like really make the track shine, do some EQing to make sure it shines nicely. And this also has some drive just to add that, you know, nice saturation to and really thicken up the whole track. And I added some compression to catch some peaks so that I can be able to make the track louder. But if you want me to get into mastering, you can comment down below, then I I can proper break down mastering and everything in another video. And this is just EQ just to brighten the track up again, and to also just raise some of those mids. And then lastly, I added a limiter. This is an adaptive limiter that I threw in, and I just added like 3 decibels of gain, and that's it. And with a look ahead of 50 millisecond, that's it. And then I just added a multimeter afterwards so I can analyze everything, all the sound and all of that. So if you have any questions, again, drop them down below. If you want anything that I use to make my beats, make sure to check the links in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll check you in my next video. I'm X and I'm out. Peace.